Hi there, it's Nick Dutch again. So far in this series of videos we've had a look at Aleister Crowley's Magic in Theory and Practice. We've discussed essentially what Crowley thought magic was about, and in some detail. I hope by now you've realised that his main message to you was essentially to learn how to think and how to understand yourself and how to apply yourself to your own life. But remember, his definition of magic is that magic is to be and to do, and magic is the art and science of change in accordance with the will, namely making decisions and learning how to change. But you've got to understand what the word science means, and you've got to understand what the word art means if you go on to use that definition, which you might or you might not. And I strongly recommend, seriously strongly recommend you find out. The New Age movement is full of liars. The New Age movement is full of people who are trying to control you psychologically, emotionally, through fear, through terror, and trying to distort your understanding of the world, primarily for their own benefits. Often people who go into, let's say, a Wiccan coven are doing so out of a desire to place another person in charge of themselves and to have yet another code of instruction for them to follow and to disseminate to other people. I'm not having a go at Wiccans, alright? I think it's a great spirituality, I really do. But I'm providing that as an example from my experience of some of the people who I've known who got involved in Wiccan covens because they were essentially looking for someone else to take over. And some people who do run occult groups know this and choose to exploit that. And I had a high priest, a third degree initiate of Wicca, screaming at me that I should follow this, that and the other god and all the rest of it. Because if I didn't, then terrible things would happen, which in colloquial language is what's called a load of bollocks, alright? That's got nothing to do with magic. That's got everything to do with people trying to control people. That's got everything to do with humans trying to twist the minds of other humans for their, for the benefit of the person doing the twisting. Now, this can be for political reasons, this can be for power-hungry reasons, and all the rest. Another issue is that of delusion. Now, in my book, I don't know whether I've got a copy of it lying around here somewhere. Here we go. Available on the Lulu Marketplace. That's my bit of plugging for the moment. Supernatural Science, How to Become a Great Magician Without Losing Your Mind. And it's got my name on it, Nick Dutch. Alright. I point this out. And I point out that people are there to abuse people. People are there to control people. And I just want to point out a little bit more on from the writings of Aleister Crowley, page 252 of Magic in Theory and Practice, or this edition of Magic in Theory and Practice. It is obviously impossible to communicate with an independent intelligence, the one real object of astral research, if one allows one's imagination to surround one with portions of one's own creation. So, you've got to learn to be skeptical. Most people out there aren't. That's why there's so many people saying that they're channeling a UFO that's somewhere in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. That's why there's so many people saying that, they've spoken to the angels who passed on this wonderful message to humanity and all the rest of it. This is what these people want to hear, and therefore their imagination is providing it. So you've got to be very skeptical about what you receive and what you hear from other people. Let's go on a bit further. Page 253, again, from Aleister Crowley's Magic in Theory and Practice. The magician may go on for a long time being fooled and flattered by the astrals, namely the apparent spiritual beings, that he has himself modified or manufactured. Their natural subservience to him will please him, poor ape. They will pretend to show him marvellous mysteries, pageants of beauty and wonder unspeakably splendid. He will incline to accept them as true, for the very reason that they are images of himself idealized by imagination. But his real progress will stop dead. These phantasms will prevent him from coming into contact with independent intelligences from whom alone he can learn anything new. He will become increasingly interested in himself, imagine himself to be attaining one initiation after another, His ego will expand unchecked, till he seems to himself to have heaven at his feet. Yet all this will be nothing but his fool's face of Narcissus smoking up from the pool that will drown him. Now, I've met in my journeys into the pagan world many people who come under that category. Alright? Because none of them knew how to think. They had become believers. They carried on saying, oh, magic works, rather than, I had an interesting result here, which may point to something being real, or it may not. Let's experiment with it and see, what details we can get. And let's try and disprove my own divinations to see whether it's going to be useful or whether it isn't. Let's do some more experimentation. Let's not jump to conclusions. There was none of that in the New Age movement. There's very little of that in the occult movement, full stop. Because most people who are involved in this movement have no idea about the meanings of the word art and the meanings of the word science. If you're gonna quote it, know what the fucking words mean. The result of me receiving emails on YouTube and me receiving emails from a wide variety of other people has led me to one conclusion: that there are very few people who have the level of understanding either of magic or of science, art, or how to think that I do, which is actually quite shocking. I had no intention in embarking on YouTube or returning to the supernatural for my living to create a new religion or a new cult. And I still think that would probably be a not very good idea, but I've got to do something to create some thinking human individuals who are capable of criticising and constructively criticising what's around them. I mean, there are plenty of scientists out there, people who've got masters and PhD qualifications, who also don't know how to think and to be sceptical. When you're doing any form of research, you've got to look at the quality of the source data. You've got to be able to criticise that as well. Your analysis has got to go down to minute points, and you can't ever jump to the point of believing. I mean, I didn't want to have to make this decision, but I've got to. I have got to revitalise the magic of Aleister Crowley. I have got to, not politically, because I don't agree with some of his politics, alright, but in terms of the supernatural, and in terms of the intellectual processes, become the reincarnation of Aleister Crowley. Metaphorically speaking, okay? I don't care whether I am the reincarnation of anyone. But someone's got to do this work, and someone's got to turn the New Age movement into something that can actually work properly. Now, for the moment, I bid you good fortune and God bless. My name is Nick Dutch, and the world will hear of me again.